The tabletop takeaway.
Game mechanics on display.
3 designers share the stage.
Pick a genre and we'll play.
The tabletop takeaway.
Welcome back to the Tabletop Takeaway. I'm Ananda.
I'm Charlie McCarran.
And I'm Trevor Muller-Hagel.
And today we are continuing our route building game series with Bus, which is another route building game that comes to us from Splotter, so another Splotter game. We've had a few of those on the series before. Splotter is a publisher. I won't get too into it. Anyway, in Bus, we are operating different bus lines. I don't know if they're public or private bus lines or what, but so each player has a bus line which connects different points in a city that looks a lot like New York. Mm-hmm. And there are passengers in the city who want to go to different destinations. There's 3 types of destination. There's the office, the home, and the bar.
Woo!
And the game cycles between these 3. So every round the destination changes. And what you're trying to do is you're trying to take the passengers and move them along your bus line to wherever it is that they want to go. And so throughout the game, you expand your bus line, you get more buses, so you can move more passengers at once. And you also place the buildings, which are the locations, and you also add passengers to the board. Another core mechanic of the game, I guess, is worker placement, because at the start of each round you decide where your actions are going to go. And the game goes until 2 of the 3 players, or however many players, until only one person has actions left, because you start off with a finite supply of 20 actions, which you use up throughout the game. But you can use however many actions you want in a round. And you can also stop time, which is
very common in bus and route building
yes,
games.
classic trope. The stopping time basically just means that the passengers want to go to the same place they wanted to go last round,
right?
Which can sometimes really mess with other people's plans.
I almost did it a second time at the end of our game. I thought about it.
Yeah.
It can really mess with people's plans. I'll say
Yeah.
I was on the other end of that.
Yeah.
And I think I like the other Splotter games we've played. It's very tight mechanically, and which is cool. Like I like that, but it's also pretty unforgiving.
Yeah.
If one thing doesn't go your way, if you don't time out,
fall behind, you might stay behind a little bit.
And if you don't plan out, like, I have to make sure that I'm doing the vroom action, which is move people. If you don't get that first, people are going to steal your passengers. But if you don't build up your line enough, I mean, everything's important, and yeah.
Everything's important.
Everything is very important.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
I really appreciated, though, like, so one of the actions you can do is expand your bus line and have more buses. And the person who has the most buses is actually what determines how many things happen in the other categories.
Yeah.
And it's just like, that's really interesting mechanic because, like, Charlie had 2 buses first, which allowed us to have 2 actions on, like, passengers and making buildings and stuff like that. Like, oh, great. That's awesome. And then the next turn we could do 2 routes instead of 1. I'm like, oh, this is really interesting.
Yeah. And I guess one interesting thing, I think if somebody takes the bus action, they often do it early.
Yeah.
As like their first action, because more buses means more efficient vrooming.
Yep.
And getting more points easier.
More room for your buck.
But if you do that, it's likely that the other players will be able to take advantage of that by building more buildings or getting more passengers, I guess.
Yeah, there's a lot of inherent balancing of action selection and all these things. Because, with building the routes, if you go first, you get the most routes, but you also place them last.
Right.
And it's a really, interesting how each one is balanced just a little differently by flipping that turn order.
Yeah. And, because placing routes last, sometimes somebody might be able to block you from going where you want to go, because you can only there are only certain conditions in which you can build your route parallel to someone else's. Mm-hmm. One really interesting thing about Bus compared to other route building games is that your route can't branch.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that too, and
You
I
have to continue
it was,
the line.
in my head. It was gonna be like Catan, branching paths.
Yeah.
But now that I know that, I think it is interesting that it's snaking around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I think one really nice thing about it is that it lets it makes it easier to predict what people are going to do, and it also narrows your attention a bit.
Oh, sure.
You don't have to think about,
Every possible...
Right.
Yeah.
You only have access to the ends of your route, so there's less to think about. It really focuses players.
Mm-hmm.
At least can tell you very quickly if an area is safe for you to build on without someone interfering with it.
Yeah.
Which is really nice.
Yeah, like towards the end of the game, Charlie, you looped your bus route. It went over the river and then it came back. And because it came back, I knew that I could build a bunch of bars on that side of the river because you wouldn't be able to get back to it since you were going the other way.
Yep. Yeah, I wouldn't say my strategy was a winning one. In fact, I only got half the points of Ananda. But yeah, it's interesting. I think this has made me realize frustration of route building games, because I think there was 2 turns in this game where I ended up getting 0 points.
Yep.
Partially because of the weird stop time thing, which
Well, I think
feels...
When you were trying to get points and you couldn't get
Yeah.
points,
I think
right?
both times were because I deliberately blocked you.
Well,
Yeah,
yeah.
they
But,
were.
I mean, that's the thing. That is your best move, really, because we were both fighting. Trevor was on his own.
As he often is.
We had flashbacks of Wabash Cannonball, which we played last week.
The
where
Wilbur.
Trevor just had his own free reign.
But I won that one.
Yeah,
So
true.
Yep.
But yeah, I think frustration with route building games, it happens in Catan too, where you have this whole plan built up, and then suddenly someone builds a road right
Yep.
in the spot you
Or
wanted.
a settlement too close to where you were going to build, and it's like, oh, now I have
Yeah.
to move, and now it's not on the right spot, and
Yeah, Ticket to Ride too. Someone sees that
yeah.
you almost completed your whole thing, and then, well, I better put one
Oh,
train that
I
blocks.
really needed to get there.
Yeah.
All right.
So yeah, I'm torn because it's tense, but it's also extremely frustrating sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, I've always had an issue with Catan because, just because the dice roll incorrectly, yada, yada, yada. And I know I went into this already during the Catan episode, so I won't. You can listen to that episode if you want to hear me rant a little bit about Catan. But yeah, it's really interesting how in these route building games that we have, I don't know, for these ones it felt like we had more flexibility than a lot of other games that have a similar mechanic. And that was really nice for me. Like a lot of overlap, like sharing the road or sharing the tile.
Yeah. Yeah. Sharing. Maybe that's
sharing
what
the
it is.
space.
Is the frustration comes from there's a potential that
Being blocked.
you think of these things as yours,
Yeah.
they're my passengers that I'll
Yeah.
be able to do something with. But if you're sharing with anybody, you can't think
Suddenly
that way.
they're stolen.
Yeah, and the buildings as well, and they could be your buildings, but anyone can build a route to it and then
Right.
just claim that as their own.
Yep.
And I've probably mentioned this in a previous episode, but I've tried doing a game like that where you're on the moon and you're kind of sharing resources, and I think people just got very frustrated because it's
I wanted that. No,
Yeah.
I wanted it.
everyone has free reign to pick up these robots in their ship and take them off somewhere else. And as a designer, I want that.
You want that
to work.
interaction and that tension.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Scythe is a similar
Yeah.
one, and Scythe is kind of your resources are as safe as you make them with by putting lots of defenses there or keeping them far away from other players. But
Sure.
yeah, I don't know. It's interesting. I want that to feel cool in games too. I don't know. Maybe there's other ways.
Yeah. Yeah, there's an element of, as with most, I think most Splatter games have some element of public resources that
Yeah.
players are sort of fighting over and creating.
Like Coca-Cola.
And this is no different. With you're trying to get the passengers to places where other people can't access them, so that you can
Right.
you can go later. One thing that worker placement games are something I'm not terribly thrilled about, or I should say the worker placement mechanics in general.
Yeah.
And something about the way that worker placement is done in this game just feels very different. And if I had to pinpoint it, I think it would be that the ordering, just the ways in which ordering matters. And there's the ordering within each of the actions, because the first player, for example, to build a line, places their bus line last but has the most, and then the second player to choose that action has a weaker action but they get to do it earlier. That's one part of it, but the other part of it is the order in which the actions are resolved is extremely important, because if the lines that you build will affect where people want to place buildings later. The passengers they come after the line, so the lines will also affect where people want to place passengers. And everything that happens before the stop time phase will determine whether the player actually decides to stop time.
Right. They could keep it up in the air until then, which is crazy.
I suppose you could negotiate with that player who would stop time and be like, hey, I'll build something for you.
Oh, yeah.
So you don't, I don't know if you've seen that come up, but...
I'm sure it could.
Yeah.
But I think maybe the big difference for me, and maybe this is my takeaway, is in a lot of worker placement games that I've seen, the different things you can place your workers on don't interact with each other. Really.
Yeah.
And you don't. The resolution order
Gain
doesn't.
4 sheep. Okay.
Yeah, the resolution order doesn't matter that much.
Yeah.
And in this game, the order in which, you're placing down your workers, but as they're being resolved in order, the game is changing in a way that changes what you want to do with the workers that you placed earlier.
Yeah.
And I think maybe that might be part of the key to a really for me at least, for a really engaging worker placement game, is having the actions that you place the workers on have them interact with each other, so that the actions that are resolved later, you might change what you do with them based on what's done earlier. So I think that's my takeaway.
Yeah, that's a really good point, because with this game specifically, if you are getting passengers, making buildings, and then you decide, I'm doing all these other things, I'm going to also get a bus so that I suddenly get all those plus ones to all those things I'm doing. It's that could actually feel really nice and really clever.
Yeah.
Which I actually technically did to make Charlie build on my spot in the last turn, kind of just as a goofy thing to do.
Yeah, just to see.
Because we still had other levels of buildings we could build, but...
You know what I think it is? I think it's... So there's this notion of optionality, the ability but not the obligation to do something.
Oh, sure.
And I think in this game, that's optionality is something that players definitely have to think about, because there were times in the game, early on in the game, I took the vroom action, even though I didn't think I would necessarily be able to do it.
Interesting.
Because I was hoping that later I might be able to, so I was preserving the option to do that if I needed to.
Wow.
And likewise, the stop time action is all about that, right? You pick the stop time action, but you don't actually have to decide to stop time until that comes up.
Until the new buildings are out.
Yeah.
Which could actually really influence if you want to stop time or not.
Right. So I think this game does a great job of building optionality into what the players do, giving them the ability... Making you think about sort of spending your limited actions on acquiring the right to do something, even if you don't ultimately end up doing it.
Sure.
Which, in most games, when you spend resources, it's because you want to specifically do something.
Right.
Not because you want the option to do something.
Right.
And the timing of when you would pick a stop time is very key, too, because you probably want to keep it not let anyone else know that you're going to do that until they've planned out their entire turn.
Right.
Yeah.
No, I mean that's why the action is so interesting, because it comes after everything else.
Yeah.
So like you get to see where people built routes, where they built buildings, all of that, and then you decide to stop time. And in our game, Trevor, you prepared for me doing that because
Yeah.
you built some bars just in case I did decide to stop time, and that
Yeah.
saved you from Charlie's fate.
Yeah. And I did not heed the warning enough. Well, I was thinking, oh, well, the next turn will be much better.
Yeah.
Then it's all right. Time is stopped for now. But then I realized, oh, wait, I wasted 2 room actions to,
Yeah.
yeah.
And one thing, I don't know if maybe you did say it, Ananda, and I might have missed it, but you do the action selection, and then you do the action resolution. So there are like 2 different phases of the game. We're going around in turn order, placing our actions that
Yes.
we will be doing, but we don't resolve them immediately. And that's probably a really important thing if we didn't say that.
Yeah.
I really like that kind of flow to the game, because you're kind of also kind of paying attention to what everyone else is going to be doing or potentially
Right.
doing.
Yeah, and I think that's pretty standard for worker placement games, but in this game it feels more important because it's
Yeah.
not just because it isn't just like, okay, are they blocking me?
Right.
It's also, okay, what are they doing and how I might want to. I mean, okay, obviously in a game where someone's blocking you, you'll want to do something else. But in this game, the thing that they does might actually impact what you do with the other thing.
Sure.
Yeah, it feels almost more like a programming game, in a way, action programming, of like setting up what...
Because there's a specific order everything's resolved in.
Yeah,
Yeah.
a little bit, yeah. Not like the order of the actions is going to change, but
Right.
just planning your whole turn strategy.
Yeah, because I want to do this so that I will be able to do this later, or I want to do this to this to this. Like doing a line expansion with buildings can be really helpful. If you expand to those buildings and then build there, it feels really nice and really clever.
Yeah. The way that another cool thing about the sort of the passenger part of the game is the way that the buildings and passengers interact, because so if a passenger is already at a building of the correct type, they will not want to move.
Right. Oh, that is a really important part.
Yeah. So like if you think somebody is going to take their passenger and use it on one of transport it to a building that you want to get to, what you could do is you could just put the building down that the passenger wants to go to,
Right.
and then they won't move.
Yeah.
So there's like a lot of ways that you can block other players.
Yeah, there is a lot. And I think my favorite part about that, too, is that there's so many spaces that have double buildings, and there's only 3 buildings in the game. And so you're just leaving out one, so they're going to stay there basically for 2 turns at some point.
Mm-hmm. Yes, if a space has 2 different types of buildings,
Yeah.
that makes it harder for the passengers to leave that space.
So it makes a lot more sense to build up similar type buildings so that
Right.
you can just load people into them.
Yeah, I think you want to build similar type of buildings on your line where nobody else is, and you want to try to sabotage them by putting different types of buildings on their line.
I think I intentionally did it backwards, not realizing the full impact of my decisions. But yeah, I love splatter games, and I think for my takeaway, it really is going to be about that resolution and focusing on the kind of flipping of orders and understanding that sometimes it's really important for who's going to go first, and then adding the weight so like, the person who chose first goes last, but they get the most of that thing.
Yeah.
And sometimes, with passengers, I think the person who got the most goes first. And so it's just really interesting how they really dialed in each different action that you do and how it resolves and in what order and to what degree.
I mean, I think pretty much almost every splatter game that I've played has made turn order incredibly important.
Yep.
Like turn order always seems to be a core part of the game.
Yeah, and they of course had a turn go first spot on the, which I don't think we use.
None of us use.
But for a 3-player game, that makes sense too.
I mean, I think there were times when I probably would have been better off taking that action.
Sure.
But I didn't.
Yeah, I think my takeaway is that you have 20 actions for the whole game and use them wisely. And it's kind of cool that you can just use as many as you want during the turn.
Yeah.
But the thing is, they get worse and worse. Generally, like, you get less things as more of these action slots fill up, and oftentimes, like, you can't use all of those actions, but it's there if you wanted to, and yeah, I think that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Well, and if you run out of actions, then on the last round, then everybody else gets to do stuff.
Yeah.
Yep.
Which could be quite bad for you.
As long as we made a truce, which we did, Trevor and
I
I.
almost ended it early. I don't know if that would have helped me or not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, cool. That wraps up Bus. And tune in next time when we talk about route building games in general.
Hey, thanks for listening to The Tabletop Takeaway. This podcast is made possible by listeners like you. So please tell your friends and visit our website at thetabletoptakeaway.com, where you can suggest games and mechanics for us to cover next on the show.